Do I hear a motion to open the public hearing for the National Grid poll petition at 12 South Street?
I move to open the public hearing under Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22, to consider the petition submitted by National Grid for the installation of a new utility pole at 12 South Street, and abutters have been duly notified of this hearing.
Thank you. And present tonight, if you could just give your name.
Jeff Silva, National Grid.
Thank you. You.
So the pole being installed is to support the pole across the street with pole 4. It's on a kind of bad corner, and instead of putting a push brace on the property of number 9, the best suggestion is to have the pole installed across the street with an anchor to support that pole.
Oh.
So.
Is there any questions?
I don't have any questions. Nope.
None.
It's to me.
No,
Gotta
I
have
figure-
it.
Figure you guys are the experts, not us. Okay, so are there any public comment?
These double poles.
Oh, that's not up for this one. Hold on. Sorry. See,
Yeah.
it's Verizon, it's not National Grid. So, all right, hearing no more public comment, hearing no questions. Do I hear a motion?
I move to close the public hearing on the National Grid poll petition for 12 South Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. To approve. Are we going to vote to approve? If so, do I hear a motion?
I move that the board vote to approve the petition submitted by National Grid for the installation of a utility pole at 12 South Street as described in the application and presented during the public hearing in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 166, Section 22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Congratulations. Yeah, we appreciate you coming.
Good luck with the teenager.
Yeah, enjoy. It's only really scary when they wave goodbye by themselves. Yes. Take care.
Hope to see you again.
Thank you. Okay, department up and board updates and requests. Michael, microbrewery article decision, you're up. Thank you.
Mike Antonellis, Director of Land Use and Inspectional Services. So just for your quick reference, this is what is on the warrants, is what you originally reviewed.
Right, oh, yeah.
And this was my email to Dennis during that same meeting, because I was downstairs in planning board
Right.
when they asked me to email you about this. So that's it. And so I highlighted the section in question. Suppose before I go through that in detail, yeah, I'll talk about that first. So you got this, that's just a clip, a copy of what was in your warrant. So I highlight the AR district. You can see AR district says no.
Right.
For microbreweries, that's what we discussed. That was what was agreed upon.
Mhm.
And then, as I said, I left and went down to planning board. Planning board then discussed making potential changes to that. I just want to clarify so everybody's on the same page. I know the select board is, this is in your warrant that says no within
Right.
the agricultural residential zone, which in my opinion is appropriate. And going forward, just because if only, and I'm not negating, and I'll get into the conversation of why the planning board wanted to make that change. I'm not negating their reasons for it. I just mean as a matter of process, I think that's appropriate. So now I'll get into the reasoning as to why the planning board wanted to make that change. And I don't,
see anyone here
No.
for the planning board.
so I will take the reins. The idea behind it was the definition. If you look at the definition, it mentions hard cider beverages. So the thinking was, as it was expressed by a couple of planning board members, was you have an agricultural residential zone. Wouldn't it be great to unlock potential on behalf of those who are conducting agriculture that is encouraged within the town via the agricultural residential district by allowing them, if they so choose, to have an orchard and then to be able to do a cidery under this article, which I think is a fine reasoning. I did in that meeting express to them that I felt like more discussion should happen on that before we make that change within this article. And that if we want to make, if they want to offer that change, that there's certainly time to do that. You can proceed with the article as is currently in the warrant, saying no to this use within the agricultural residential zone. And if you want to take on cideries as it relates to agricultural residential use or specific agricultural uses in that zone, we can absolutely look further into that and make appropriate changes later, because there's certainly no rush. Nobody's knocking on my door and land use to put in an orchard and a cidery, but.
Okay, let me ask you, the way it's written now with a no in agricultural residential, could they go to ZBA and get that overturned? Not at
That
all.
would be a use variance,
Okay,
which is not allowed in town.
okay. So what they were thinking probably was something like Vandervalk and Mendon, potentially.
I'm not familiar.
Vandervalk is,
That's a winery.
it's a winery. It started off as an orchard, berries, and now they hold events. They do sell, at a certain amount of time during the year,
Yeah,
usually weekends, they do sell their products that they make there.
I imagine that sounds to me like what they were commenting on. I had a few other, just ones that I was familiar with in mind, and that sounds like the same case.
I don't like this one in Bolton Orchards. That's what they
Yeah,
are.
Yeah,
they do.
They're bigger. They've been around a long time, but
yeah, I
we don't
think.
have any orchards in town.
No, we don't. We don't have anybody, and I would think if somebody did, it would take a while to get up and off the ground. You know, if you're gonna plant that many apple trees or that many blueberry bushes, it would be a while before you were flying, in which case you could come to the town and say, look, I've bought 100 acres and this is my goal. And eventually in 5 years, I'd like to open a cidery or a winery, and then we could reconsider it at that time.
I could.
What?
I could.
Yeah, you'd be all for it, huh? Yeah, you can do that. That's true. I think, you know, I'm just worried. Agricultural residential to me is just that. I'd like to preserve it as long as possible. And, I don't want this to lead to other industrial uses. That's my personal opinion.
I totally agree. I think, certainly, my hope would be, yeah, great. Vanderbuck or Bolton Orchards, of course, great, beautiful businesses. Love to have them in town in the right places and all that. Sure, totally get that. So not negating that, like you said. Lots of concern around serving alcohol, creating a business that serves alcohol in a residential district. Like that, I get I have
Especially
a lot of fear around that going the wrong way, and someone just saying, because right, would this allow anyone in an agricultural zone to essentially sell liquor?
Not without getting a special permit, the way that.
Well, right, they'd have to get a special permit.
Yes, but yeah, correct.
Right, they don't have to have an orchard, so anybody in town that lives in an agricultural district could go and say, hey, I want to sell malt beverages, I want to sell cider, I want to sell Rushford and Sons beer, I want to sell this.
I think you're right.
Well, I think it has to be grown on the farm.
But that,
I'm not sure about that.
if you read
Well,
the
that's
true
the
meaning
way
of
it is
this,
now, everything
Yeah.
has to be grown.
I mean, if in the future we decide that somebody does have the need and they're
Yeah.
growing it.
So there, to answer a couple of those,
Mm.
it wouldn't enable just like a retail or even just like a watering hole, bar, pub scenario in a residential district. It would be, because this was specifically for the manufacturing. And then, there's the allowance to have like a tap room in an association with manufacturing, but it wouldn't enable just a retail establishment to be selling it. It wouldn't necessarily restrict to folks who are growing it on site. That's the farmer's license that I don't think we have any in town that have the farmer's license. Yeah, so that's what you're talking, there's the agricultural, I don't want to say exemption, but the farmer's license that enables agricultural uses to have breweries and things like that on site under that license.
So it would allow the planning board to issue a permit for any agricultural zoned parcel lot that wanted to manufacture and sell malt beverages,
Yes.
they could do that. Okay, so
Mhm.
that's what it is. So it's not just a blanket, just retail. It would have to be the manufacturing. So basically the brewing and the creation of the liquor as well as the selling of the malt beverage.
Yeah, it reads the production and packaging of malt beverages is defined by 204 CMR 3.2. Yeah. But, I don't think we really want them splitting up.
No, I would be surprised if it would pass, but I certainly don't support putting it on the warrant that way without much more discussion.
And the planning board will have another public hearing on this on next Tuesday, the 28th.
Mhm.
I already expressed to them in through email that it was not well received, that particular change. So we'll intend to have that conversation.
Yeah, we can put them in other places that,
See how the first one goes.
well, the first, yeah, but we'll see where it goes
See where it
and how it goes, and then
Yeah.
we'll decide whether or not it's appropriate in residential, but
Yeah.
I do think we'd have, I don't think,
Excuse me, I think it's appropriate to, when you're talking about introducing those type of uses into a residential zone, is agricultural residential, but residential nonetheless, there should be probably some added safeguards if you were to consider it.
right, and if, like I said, I think if anybody has this intention, if they buy, say, Five Forks stops producing flowers, and they decide to go to an orchard, and they come to us and say, you know what? The dahlias got hit, we're gonna do this instead, because they have a large parcel of land, they have a retail. I think there would be time to come and ask for a zoning change.
I think you'd have to have a large parcel of land
You-
to do
you do.
anything like that to make any money.
I think so, I don't think,
So I think the residences are far and few between, and I don't know how many of those farms are left in town.
they're disappointed. I think we did the right thing.
Yeah.
It's the end of the, unless you guys wanna keep going.
No, I'm good.
Okay, you're
I'm
good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Michael, we
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Michael.
Take care.
Have a great night.
Yes.
Acceptance of a food pantry donation. Dennis, are you gonna handle that,
I was under the impression.
or is Tanya gonna be here?
Time was. See her.
I had it on for 6 minutes.
She did send a memo.
Okay.
My trick.
Can't get it out.
No, that should.
I said, that's usually my trick, Sue.
Oh, goodness.
Did she send a memo with all the information? Maybe.
She did, yes. We have a memo that says Department of Elder and Social Services is requesting acceptance of an unsolicited but generous gift of $100 from Upton resident Michael Caponera to support the food pantry. We are incredibly grateful for the support of this donor and respectfully request acceptance of this gift to purchase items needed for the UCC food pantry.
That's nice.
Any discussion? If not, do I hear a motion?
I move that the board accept a donation to the Upton Food Pantry in the amount and value of $100 in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, and authorize the town manager to take all necessary steps to process the donation.
A second motion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, and thank you very much. That's wonderful, people do that.
Yeah.
Town manager, general updates and a report.
I just have a few updates for the board, nothing major. Talk first about the DPW building committee on the 29th, which is next Wednesday at the community center at
Okay.
7 PM. The building committee will be hosting a presentation to the community. We're in the process right now of advertising this and reaching out to everyone that we can to try to draw the crowds in so that we can go through basically, the audience will have an opportunity to see pretty much the very same presentation that we're going to do on town meeting floor. And as an update to that update, I think it's important that the board knows that after we went through the scrutinization of all of the warrant articles, and we talked in length about the Public Works Department article in particular, that the building committee work group met afterwards, and we discussed fine tuning our goal of isolating our building expansion to simplify items that are code related, like DEP, ADA compliance, safety issues, and things that brings the scope of the Public Works Department down to a more modest venture with a smaller price tag. There are some things that I think the board should know and will realize that it's simply not going to do. It's not going to take in as much into consideration for future expansion right now, but it leaves a footprint that allows for future expansion. It just doesn't make the accommodations. Remember how we had this conversation before, and we all were agreed that if we were going to do this, we don't want, like a school builds a new school building, and you don't want it to be 100% full occupancy the day the doors open. We wanted to have some forethought into the expansion of the building, both immediately and then long-term down the road. So we're going to be focusing more on long-term down the road and less on immediately, but the expansion capabilities will still be taken into consideration. We won't be moving water and wastewater yet, but they will be able to be moved at a later date. So that can be a consideration. So the idea is to go for the plumbing and electrical codes, the ventilation system that prevents us from having a safe environment when we operate equipment inside the building, when we're effecting repairs on equipment, a wash bay that meets our DEP compliance. It gets the administration office into the main facility. There are other things that, depending on where this lands us, we might not be able to consider either, such as a larger salt shed, which was part of the vision. Something that can still be done later. This doesn't tie our hands by any means, but it focuses more on what we're trying to do with the DPW building.
It also doesn't invest in trail.
Yes. Yes.
It does what Paul had said.
So the
Gets rid
bringing
of the trail.
administration in gets rid of the camper.
That's good, because I did say,
It does.
it does, because I did make a joke this summer that somebody should go and check to make sure you and Bill hadn't expired from the heat. Which is kind of not a joke, but
It's true.
it's true. You either,
Last budget is what they show you, $8,900. The rent on that building,
Yeah,
and we've been paying for that building
Long
for
time.
30 years.
well,
Okay.
there's the cost of the new building.
Do the math.
Yeah,
I say it was $7,000 a year, because it's easy to multiply 7 times 30. It's going to be $10,000. For selling that building. And where do we get it?
facility
That's
that
what you can't.
when temperatures are below 15 degrees consistently, you have to trickle the water overnight or the pipes freeze.
mhm.
It doesn't matter if the ACs are running, if it's a full sunny day and it's 90 or above outside, the building will hit 80+ degrees inside. These are things that we deal with every day.
And I know it doesn't much get over 55, 59 in the winter.
Nope.
So that's my update on that. If
Thank
you
you.
can make it, I hope to see you there. I'm hoping for a very good presentation.
What time?
That coincides with the,
There's going to be professionals who doing the talking. A lot of them.
Yes.
Well,
just
what
an
time was it?
FYI, that coincides with the first managers meeting. But that's okay.
Of course. Yeah.
The town manager search committee, meeting.
Oh,
It's okay. There's 5 of
it
us.
was difficult to make everything align.
That's fine.
That's why the date is the date.
And what time is that?
7 PM.
I think the managers is at 6, so maybe if we get out, we can hop over.
So an update on 12B0 Milford. I
Mhm.
reached out to MTC today and asked if they had heard anything back from the attorney for the owners, and they have not. I asked if they would just kindly reach out and remind them that town meeting's right around the corner, and it would be nice to know if they were entertaining anything or if we needed to sit down and have a further discussion.
Okay,
So
thank you.
no word yet. I didn't want the board to think that that was forgotten. Spoke with the moderator today. just to go over town meeting warrant, make sure the moderator was all set. The moderator is good to go. Very, very happy. And my last update is just that Sue has begun working with our vendor for our electronic voting. And she'll be working with the moderator as well to hopefully have a nice smooth meeting. And that's my updates.
Correct some of the issues that came up last year.
It's an easy meeting to do.
Good, good, that's good. Good to hear. Okay, is there any public input or board member updates? Hearing none, rolling right along. Discussion of meeting schedule.
So I had, through the chair, if I had put this on originally, because I thought maybe there would be an opportunity between now and town meeting that we may not have much of an agenda to consider, and we would take a break before the meeting unless something came up. However, I was reminded today that we have a tax classification hearing coming up on that date, so I'm sure there are other items that will fill in mine, but
Okay.
I would recommend that we have the meeting on the 28th as we originally planned. And then, of course, town meeting is the 4th. And I would expect after that, we probably want to go to our regular schedule after the 4th. I think that was what our intent was.
Sure, we're gonna miss seeing each other every Tuesday. We'll have to settle for every
Chair.
other, yes.
Valerie did have some concerns about being able to get the numbers from the DOR. She was wondering if it's not possible for the 28th, would we be able to do a Teams meeting for the tax classification? I'm not sure if she discussed that with you.
Teams meeting on when?
I'm not sure when the numbers come. It may just be right before, right after. She's doing her best to get the
To
numbers.
be set before the town meeting?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll speak to Valerie. I need to have a
Thank you.
conversation with her and Kenny at the same time regarding that.
Do we know where Kenny is?
He's here, not physically here, but
But I mean, how close is it?
he's working diligently. That's all I know for sure. Will he make it? He's trying. But we know we have a backup plan already in place for this, the small number of articles that will be considered free cash.
Should it not happen, Dennis? That's all.
Okay.
We want to touch bases.
I will keep the board
Thank you.
up to date on that.
Okay. All right, that works. Matthew, thank you for being patient. You're up. Discussion, the memorandum of understanding with library trustee.
Hello, Matthew Maxwell, library director. Anyone who might be watching, it's a no. So, let me give just a really brief background and then I'll try to answer any questions that you might have. And I'm sort of the one that's here presenting this, but certainly some of this discussion might be just me presenting on behalf of other people, whether
That's
it's the
fine. We're not
trustees
gonna
or.
shoot the messenger.
I'll try to make it clear what's my
Yes.
thoughts and what's not my thoughts, but, so last year, I think at the special town meeting, the town voted to revise the Town Manager Act. And some of the changes that were made in the Town Managers Act changed how the town manager was intended to interact with departments that report to elected boards other than the select board. And one of the things that the Town Manager Act committee suggested was that each of those elected boards write a memo which would clarify exactly how their departments and the town manager are intended to interact. So the town manager and the HR director and myself and the library trustees had a number of meetings, a number of discussions. We had some drafts going back and forth, and we have finally reached a document that I think everyone agrees is fairly represents what the intentions of the elected board was. The trustees are happy with it. Joe Layden, the previous town manager, was at a point where he was pretty happy and we were basically at a final draft, and then Joe left town. So we were kind of a little bit in limbo, And then the HR director suggested that we're so close, let's just get it done and agreed on now instead of waiting for a new town manager and potentially having more discussions. So that's where we are. So we have a document that has been presented to the library trustees, and the library trustees approved it at their October 6th meeting. And since it would be an understanding between the trustees and the select board, it's not actually between the department and the town manager, it's between the two elected boards. The next step would be the select board review it and either make comments, revise, or approve, whatever you want to do.
I think before we go forward, I know Representative Meridian's office has said the Town Managers Act went to the state made a multitude of corrections and changes. And we gave it, if I'm not mistaken, we gave it to MTC, which is our new attorneys to review. So I think I'd like to know if whatever they reviewed, if it altered anything. I understand the need for the memorandum of understanding, because of course I sit on the Board of Health. But I think before we go too far, we should speak to MTC and make sure we're not cross. But that being said, I personally read the memorandum. I have a problem with section 3A. It says, the Upton Town Library Board of Library Trustees continues to have custody and management of the library and reading room, library staff areas, and all areas explicitly devoted to library use. That is a town-owned asset. I think you can control the programming, but I don't think it's appropriate to give you custody of the building. That's the way I'm reading it, and I can be corrected by the lawyers. You know, because you can program anything you want, but that would be like saying the Board of Health has custody over Town Hall, and they don't. You know, if we decide to move the Board of Health, we'll move the Board of Health. So that was one thing, and then on D, do you have an employment agreement or?
I do.
do,
The
okay.
library director has a employment
A
agreement
contract?
with one of the employees.
Yeah, learn something. No, but, so those would be my concerns in reading it. The wording of A, and any personally, I think MTC needs to, I mean, Matthew, when it came back from the state, it was bright red, every single page. There were extensive changes and God knows where they're gonna end up. I do agree we should have some memorandums of understanding, but personally, I want to make sure we don't conflict. I don't know if the other two boards had any concerns.
No, I would agree with that. What you pointed out with A, and I knew we had an employment agreement, but I don't think it should have, the library trustees should have custody of the building.
I don't think so.
And all the programming and all that.
The pros, you can do whatever you
Yeah.
want, you know, you're free to program, but the custody of the building, it is a town asset to me. But I don't know if you have comments or,
Just a couple of quick ones. So.
Yeah.
Just to confirm, like, was that the intent? I mean, what does that even mean? Trustees
So,
continues to have custody.
yeah.
Like, what were you trying to get at there?
So 3A, some of that language is pulled from the state law that specifies the duties and responsibilities of library trustees. But we're in a little bit of an unusual situation because in most towns, the library building is not a shared building.
exactly.
And, you know, the library department is responsible for utilities and maintenance and landscaping and all those things that we're not. So
But that
Okay,
makes-
so that was just one.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but
And-
just I was more doing the vernacular and the wording.
Exactly. And to your point, Laura, right, like
Yeah.
this, and I don't know what the right legal terms are, right? Like this sort of hangs underneath the overall Town Manager Act.
Yes.
And with the Town Manager Act being in a state of we're revising it with the attorneys looking at it, I don't know that it makes a whole lot of sense to make anything that's sort of subsides underneath that act to change those things because we don't know how the change, we don't know what changes might happen. up here.
And,
So
and
that's-
MTC could come in and
that's what I
say,
mean.
this is redundant, you're foolish, you don't need this,
Yeah.
go away.
So.
Which means all that hard work was for naught, but, there were 3 boards that did it. Yes, I agree.
So that's a long way.
Yes, it
Have
is.
we got all 3? MOUs?
We saw, I know Board of Health prepared ours right away. I don't know where RecCom stands. Sue, do you know? They have an MOU? Have we seen it?
This
Okay.
is the first time I really, if I may.
Yeah.
This is the first time I really got involved in this. I wasn't involved in
Mm-hmm.
this. So I did pass along to the board when, Rep Meridian returned the red line version
Yeah.
of the town manager's amendments.
Okay.
I can tell you, I read this
Yes.
and I read the memorandum of agreement with the library.
Mhm.
And I can tell you there are contradictions in it.
Okay. And that's what we
If
don't
you
want.
look at, if you look at the very first page of the proposed town manager's act revision for 2024, town officers all fall underneath the purview of the town manager. Library director is listed there. However, in the memorandum, and as expected and as past practice, the library director falls under the purview of the library trustees.
Right.
But this is a contradiction. So that needs to be clarified. There are other contradictions I found that I think are, and Brett used the right word, intent. And I think the intent probably isn't a contradiction, but the language, I think, might be. And when I look at things like an item number 3, when you look at B and C under 3, this is library trustees' roles and responsibilities. It clearly states in B that the library director works under the policy direction of the Board of Library Trustees. And in C, it says the library director will comply with all applicable policies of the town as approved by the select board and administrated by the town manager.
Yeah.
I need to ensure that those two don't conflict with each other.
Exactly. Like I said, it's all semantics at this point because
There are also further references of the personnel bylaw in there, and again, I haven't referenced it to see that those contradictions exist, but they very well could. So
Right.
I agree that with the board, that the town managers act amendments should come first.
Mhm.
Because once this is done and solidified, then the 3 memorandums will make a lot more sense and be easier to meld into with
Right.
the Town Managers Act and uphold everything that the individual autonomous committees want to, plus
Exactly.
the Board of Selectmen intend.
Exactly. Matthew, the great thing is we have kind of like Amazon Prime. We have that with our lawyers and they will look at as much this. We went for the flat fee, which is fabulous because then we can make sure there's no contradictions. You guys have a great starting point. I know what it takes to put one of these together. It's a lot of work. So unfortunately, I think we're gonna be a holding pattern until the Managers Act gets ironed out and determined. Because you could see the colors from where you were sitting. I wasn't kidding.
Do we know where we were at with that? No.
I said, when I sent it to the board, I sent it to NBC. I know NBC got sidetracked with some other priorities that we had them on. I don't know how much they put into this yet.
Okay.
And I think the trustees are fine with that. Like, they don't have any particular time frame that I think they'd be fine waiting, especially for a good reason. Like I said, the trustees were sort of prepared to put this whole thing on hold until there was a new town manager.
And we may end up doing that depending on the timing of everything. And it may turn out that it's, MTC looks at it and goes, you're recreating the wheel, you haven't had problems. At the end of the day, every person who gets a check from the town of Upton falls under the personnel manager, who I believe, or the director, is the town manager.
Yeah.
So, long way around, but it may be a moot point. It really may. So, but I think the first step is to get the Town Managers Act solidified by the state. But hey, it was great seeing you. We appreciate you coming.
And it
Thank
was
you.
good to hear,
And some.
that 3A section, it's good to know where some of the questions might be, so.
Right.
Another-
Yeah, and you know, it may just be the reading and, you know, you may or may not know 30+ years as a court stenographer. These two know my Oxford comma and my semantics are extreme.
Yeah, and that's.
Which is a short way of saying I'm nuts when it comes to grammar.
I think all the way from when we were talking to the town manager act committee, and we were talking to the town manager and the trustees, there's been a lot of, everyone wants the same end result.
Yes.
And all the discussion is just like wording. It's like, does this actually say what pictures it is? It's gonna.
Yes, and it's funny because you take somebody who had been completely outside of the process and you had 4 different opinions here. You know, it's when you don't live it and breathe it sometimes, but that's what we have to worry about. But MTC is great.
Yes.
So. All right, so
Thank you.
coming.
Thank you, and I'd be curious to see what the revisions to the town manager act are. Maybe.
Me too.
It's really pretty right now. Thanks, Matthew.
Think we could have it by Christmas?
Yeah.
Got the
Yeah,
Christmas
wonderful.
couple.
Matt,
Matt, do you want to read this one? Here,
I mean, you can.
you can read it. I wasn't kidding. It's a public document.
Public document.
It's interesting that, the town can vote on a specific thing and then it goes to the legislature and
They
they
change
change
it.
it.
Just you can see they took you can take it with you. They took their red pen and they had a ball.
That's just edits.
Yeah.
So if you want to see the actual, you can go online and grab the document online that actually has the back of it, is all the edits. But it shows the main part of it, where the library director is under town offices, which is clearly in this chart, under the authority of the town manager, which is clearly not what the memorandum says.
And you know, we can suggest on this a month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah. And there are no cliff notes.
7 o'clock early, bring a number 2 pencil.
Exactly. All right, so,
Does anybody?
I can't read that. You know, it's sad that
Erica
TV,
McGowan?
oh, maybe.
Yes.
Who? Erica McGowan.
Do we get them?
She might just be listening.
Jack, you want this one too? Somebody printed it out.
Yeah.
Get it.
You don't need it.
You know, it's, can I say that we've got like an 80-inch TV up there and I still can't read the names?
Well, you could make that larger.
The color.
Oh, can we? Yeah, because,
Chris can, I can't.
good, I was, Chris, I'm looking at the screen up there, like when you said I can't read it, it's like the eye test. And maybe in the future, if we had the names, maybe a different color or bigger. I see the large initials, but I can't necessarily read who they are.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, at least we get a TV, we're getting there. All right, thank you. All right, so approval of regular meeting minutes, October 7th and 14th, 2025. Did I?
They're not ready.
Okay, that, I didn't think I saw them.
No,
Did everybody review the 7th?
yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, okay, we good for?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that the board approve the regular meeting minutes of October 7th, 2025 as presented.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
I move that the board vote to approve and release the executive session minutes of October 7th, 2025.
Second?
All in favor?
The board are I'm not sure what the matter was, so can we say not to release right now? Sorry, I did, if it said release, I apologize, right?
So not to be released.
I'm not sure what the matter was, I don't.
So I move that the board approve
Not to repeat.
not to release the approve the minutes, but not release them for the executive session held on October 7th, 2025.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I'm not sure what the usual release process is for the minutes of
Me
the
neither.
executive session.
I'm using the two.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn at 6:41?
I move we adjourn at 6:41.
My second.
All in favor?
Aye.